Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today for today's webinar. Today, we'll be covering how to showcase your expertise. To start, I'd like to introduce our presenters. My name is Sarah Lepisova, and I'm the SEO manager at CountingWorks Pro.
And I am Lee Reams, the second founder and CEO. I've been working in the tax and accounting space for many decades and look forward to talking about how to showcase your expertise in the digital age.
So for today's agenda, we'll be covering everything it takes for you to be able to showcase your expertise online. So we'll start with covering the retention cycle and then go into all of the different components of actually showcasing yourself. We'll cover content, onboarding processes, websites, SEO, social proof, reviews, and testimonials, and then we'll finish off by giving you helpful tips and actionable next steps. And with that, I'd like to hand it off to Lee.
Thank you, Sarah, for that introduction. Let's get started. So one of the main things I like to say is you won't have a profitable or sustainable tax and accounting practice if you don't attract new clients. And one thing that the digital age has done is disrupted the traditional referral flows where they have now gone digital. So if you do not have a solid digital presence, you're going to have a hard time having new prospects find and decide to work with you. So what we're going to do today is kind of talk about some best practices on how you can establish that digital footprint and make sure that you're in the game when they decide who they want to work with. So if you're unsure, you probably need to put more focus on showcasing your expertise, both for your prospects and clients. Focusing on prospects is going to lead them through the lifecycle marketing, and with clients, you're going to generate more repeat business. You'll be able to increase the amount of spend per client. You'll keep your retention rates high, and obviously we want to get as many referrals as possible. So we look at everything, we call them digital touch points, but basically your content, your onboarding process, digital workflows, how do you communicate with clients? It's not just your expertise anymore that is a determinator on who someone chooses to work with. It's, hey, do they know what they're talking about, and are they easy to work with? So that goes from the quality of your website, security issues, SEO. And we always say the most important factor for showcasing your expertise is, guess what? All of them. It takes much more than a website to be found online today. But don't worry, we can show you how to do that. So where does showcasing expertise fit? And what we're showing you here today is more, there's things that people call the sales lifecycle, lifecycle marketing, nurturing. There's a lot of different jargons and things that people throw out there. But basically, we have defined it in these 6 categories. So the first one is to attract. You then, as you take people through the attract mode, you want them to consider. So basically attracting is, can they find your content? Is your content speaking to someone? They may not be aware that they have a problem yet. They may be someone who's actively searching a specific item where they know, hey, I have a pain point and I'm trying to resolve it. So you want your brand to have content that is being found online. So whether you're posting on social media, whether that is a referral from an online friend or colleague, whether that is blog content or someone who subscribed to your email newsletter, you want to be pushing out content that starts speaking to people during that side of the lifecycle marketing. So once they now know your brand, they're familiar with you, you're starting to build trust. So this engagement builds trust. This is something that's crucial if you want them to convert. So now they know your brand, they're getting used to you, you continue with a nice flow of content and information, you're showcasing your expertise, you're a thought leader. They start considering, hey, I may have a problem and I need to hire somebody to solve this. At that point, you go into the conversion phase. And what helps on conversion is the quality of your branding. Are you consistent across the web? Do you have an incredible amount of social proof, 5-star reviews? If they Google your name, is it a positive spin that people are going to see? Do you make it easy for them to become a client? That's part of those digital touch points, that digital experience. And then now, once they become a client, you've onboarded them. Did you make it easy? Did you take the friction out of the process? Did you enable an engagement letter that's sent through the internet? You're now in the serve mode. And part of this digital transformation is serving clients through the internet. They want it to be easy to work with you. Are you using best-in-class video interview technology? Are you able to collect documents securely online when you're working with your clients? E-sign, knowledge-based authentication. Are you complying with the IRS? These are all factors that go into the serve side. And then as you've done some work with somebody, and you're now trying to basically create a satisfied client who then will become an advocate. And an advocate is the end goal. You want someone who would easily refer your business to anyone, and they'll actually proactively do it even if you're not asking them to. So these are the 6 steps to execute the retention cycle, and let's get into this. So one of the questions is, how can I showcase my expertise? Well, first one we start with is always content, and we like to concentrate on life events. So content, whether that be a taxpayer, someone in IRS tax problems, or a business owner. So examples of a life event, I have children, and a client has children. They're now obviously thinking about saving for a 529 plan or saving for a college education. Grandparents might be someone who might be interested in that. Parents would be interested in that. Someone is starting a new business. So what are the steps to starting a business? How do I set up my accounting software? Someone might be in the later stages. How do I set my company up to sell? These are the type of options that you should consider when developing content that speaks to the audience. And this is an audience that is all over the place. So we're going to talk about generalist versus niche player a little bit, but basically most of the lead nurturing done by brands now occurs online before anyone ever reaches out to you directly. And I say this often in our webcasts, a lot of professionals are not even in the game because their brand is not being indexed. And what you'll see is these decisions are being made every day. If your brand is not prominent in the search results, you're not getting any of this traffic. You're not even having the opportunity to pitch to these people. So without a strong digital footprint, your practice isn't even a part of the conversation. So it's imperative that your practice establish itself as a thought leader. So what type of content should you produce? One of the things I always say is the best way to sell is not to try to sell. So you're more especially as a tax and accounting pro, you're really focusing on educating, informing, giving best practices, strategies versus going into hard sell. It's much easier to reach out as a consumer to a brand that uses this approach than it does someone who's kind of trying to talk me into, the used car salesman type of approach. So it is very important that you realize this when you're developing content. Now, there's a couple things. When we call things evergreen content is things that are content that you create that is probably has a lifeline of years versus a timely or newsworthy type of piece. So a breaking news about a PPP change that happens every week is not necessarily considered evergreen. That is kind of like an update on regulations. But an evergreen article could be, how do I set up my human resource department for my small business? That is something that if you create that content and it gets indexed, will bring you leads for a long period of time. Something that's more newsworthy will have a short life cycle. They're both important. It matters too in the way the search engines index you, but these are things you need to start thinking about. So am I writing evergreen content? Am I doing more newsworthy or timely type content? And even when you get into your reviews, what we find is your clients do the selling better than you ever can. So reviews, social proof, case studies really help inspire action from your readers. They trust it, right? And then the one thing that we see often is focus on consistency and quality of your content. So thin content, it doesn't rank well. And then the dinosaur-like sites that post, a couple articles after they launch a WordPress site and then never update it again, those are things that just really fail, and it makes the brand look poor when someone's considering to hire you. So where should your content be distributed? We find a client, and this is a great comparison. So if you develop your own website and you do not have blog content, what we have seen in our own thousands and thousands of subscribers is they get 50% of their traffic through the blog content. So if you are missing a blog or thought leadership type of content, whether that be white papers, social content, whatever it is, you're missing out on 50% of the traffic. That is dramatic. The other thing we see is the clients that use our social media posting subscriptions receive a 10% boost on their overall traffic versus those that just have their website and blog. So as I said in the beginning of this presentation, it takes much more than a website to be found online today. There's multiple funnels where people are spending time. Social media is one of the primary things. from Instagram to Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Many people are spending their free time on social media, and if you do not have a presence that are active, you're missing out on those opportunities. The third thing is something that people are missing at times. YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world. So you would think Google is looking for brands that are posting quality video content, and that is something that will help your brand rank better as well. Not only that, is with people streaming, cutting the cord, YouTube is now a new way to absorb content. I mean, many people will sit and watch YouTube and do documentaries, adventures, whatever it is. My point is, if you're producing content, Google owns YouTube. They're going to utilize that when determining where they're going to rank your brand. CountingWorks does offer social media and blogging packages. We have a couple different options, including Google My Business packages, which I think are kind of imperative. So embrace social media. Your target audience is already using it. Think about it this way. Here's a use case. So someone is a client of yours. They're on Facebook. A friend posts, hey, who do you recommend for, I'm starting a new business. I'm looking for like a virtual CFO to help me out. If your brand is not already prominent on Facebook or even has a profile, you're making it harder for someone to refer you. If they could just say, hey, Lee Reams and Associates is my virtual CFO, and they're the best ever, right? And when they actually type that in, Facebook's smart enough to link directly to your Facebook account. They're going to be seeing all this content that you're posting. They can see the information on how to contact you. These are things that are going to make people convert. So take the friction out of the buying process by establishing that social media presence. There's social proof there. How many followers do you have? How active are you? And many of your competitors, and competitors who you do not think are competitors, are using social media now. So there's a lot of big technology companies that in reality are huge tax prep firms. They're huge accounting firms, and they're going after your client base. I am a firm believer that independent tax and accounting professionals are the number one resource for people to have positive financial outcomes. And we're a big advocate of making sure that we can find as much business for you as possible, but make sure you are following these best practices so that you're in the conversation. You can take the free route or choose to invest in highly lucrative social advertising. There's ways to boost posts. We have some campaigns that are targeting specific niches and verticals. There's a lot of ways to do this. We have expertise in this. So if you do talk to us, make sure we walk you through some of the different ways to use social media to grow your practice. And what's great about social media is you can control the conversation about your brand and establish yourself as a thought leader. We've said that a couple times. That is the primary reason that firms like CountingWorks Pro is so effective. We are doing all this research for you. We are writing these articles. I mean, we figured it out as like $40,000 worth of labor that would go into creating the content that we do for you guys on a very low monthly subscription. From the proofreading, the technical background, we write long tail SEO friendly blog content, the social media posts. We're going to get you engaged. We're going to make you look good. So let's move on to the onboarding processes. And we're talking mostly digital processes here. We keep expanding our suite of products to make it easier for clients to work with you. So what does that mean? E-signatures, make it easy for your clients to engage you online. Make sure you have a newsletter, a monthly newsletter. That we find that is one of the most effective ways to retain clients and generate more business, just by being consistent with your email newsletters. We get reviews about our newsletters on our clients' profiles. So it's a very valuable way to communicate. That funnel is huge. Allow yourself multiple ways to communicate. So be on social media. Whatever your clients or prospects prefer, the way they want to communicate with them that way. Provide clear and transparent pricing. That is basically you're taking friction out of the online digital browser to decide to contact you. So if you make it clear what is the risk, what is the benefit that I am providing, and for what price, it makes it easier for them to choose to work with you. We have a suite of digital engagement letters, a secure client portal, virtual meeting options. The virtual meetings, I think, are a big growth area. I still see professionals who are just saying mail or fax. We have a teleaccountant, which we developed, that is a great tool to make it very easy. That is very easy for people to do their interviews with you, to share documents while you're interviewing the client, to collect IDs and things like that. So it's definitely something you need to look for. Next comes website design. So you want to invest in a high quality website that speaks to the quality of your practice. And these are the main points. So we know how to design. We've been building thousands and thousands of websites, so we know what converts, what doesn't. Those that just like to put a lot of designations and not speak to their audience do not convert as well. So what is the pain point that you're promising to solve? So are you saving your prospect time? Are you going to make them more money? Do you have some sort of expertise and insight that others do not, right? And then when it comes to ranking, is your site old and clunky? Mobile first has been around now for years. Google is continuing to put speed as one of the most important attributes in ranking sites. And just think about it. If your clients are on a mobile device, they don't have a fiber connection, that's the way a lot of them are experiencing your brand. So if you're using kind of outdated designs, if you are using a site that is slow to load, that is not SSL secure, that is not ADA compliant, does not use reCAPTCHA to be IRS compliant, you need to upgrade your site. So you want it to be easy to navigate. You want simple versus overloaded with material on the page. You want to make sure your brand is consistent. So whatever you're doing on your website, you want your social media profiles, you want it to, whatever type of material you're using, you want to make sure that it is represented across all funnels. And make sure it accurately represents your firm. Showcase your clients' testimonials, case studies, whatever. Basically, what you want is when someone lands on that site, they're going to be able to say, hey, this person knows what they're talking about. This is an authority. They're knowledgeable. I want to do business with them. I mentioned this earlier. Are you a specialist or a generalist? And one of the issues we see is people, basically just market as a generalist. So I am a CPA who does accounting, tax preparation, and IRS tax problems. You're competing with millions and, or that's not, maybe an oversight, but millions of other pages that are offering the same type of services. It is much harder to stand out and rank well in that environment. There is a local component. Google uses location queries and how close you are to city center, where your address is. So there's a lot of ways that you can compete as a generalist in a local area, but it's much easier to say, okay, what kind of clients am I looking for? Is there a specific niche that I can specialize in that I could do over and over again and basically get so good at my job that there's a perception that I know more than the CPA down the street or the EA down the street or the tax pro down the street. And more importantly, the answers because you've seen it 20, 30, 40 times. So the amount of time that you have to spend on doing your actual job is less, and you can price yourself as a premium there. So one thing you need to start deciding is, do I want to be a generalist? Or you can also specialize in multiple niches. So for an example, you can have an expat tax practice. You could focus on a specific country and do expat taxes. You can look at, in businesses, you could do specific niches. So I'm going to work with, let's hope and pray that restaurants are going to rebound, and I want to be the best CPA to help all these new restaurants that start out that, once the economy starts getting going again, I could then say, okay, I want to be a restaurant specialist in Southern California or New York, whatever it is. So there's a lot of different ways to tackle this. So no matter who you want to work with, one thing is for sure, you're far less likely to attract them if you're operating as a generalist versus a specialist. I guess I could have just done that one sentence and saved the time of my 3 minutes of my other thing. But I think this is a really important point when you're creating your website. When it comes to search engine optimization, so there's a couple things that I see, and there's a lot of noise out there when it comes to SEO. There's a lot of spammers / people emailing you with Gmail. I guarantee first page results and blah, 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 blah. The reality is there are very defined steps that you can take to make your brand rank high. You can't game the system anymore. And it is important to understand that when you're developing a search engine optimization plan. So we have a complete program that handles every single item, every strategy that you need. How do we help improve your reputation? How do we attract 5-star reviews for your brand? How do we establish your social presence and And all these are elements within the Google algorithm. How do we set up on-page SEO optimization, where we put in the meta titles, meta descriptions, schema, H1 tags? How are your URLs created? There's a lot of different ways that we work with to make your brand work better. Is your brand name, a phone number, address consistent across the internet? So those are things that we do for our clients. These are all elements that add up to making your brand rank better. So you can be the best expert in the world in your field, but if people can't find you online, then it just won't matter, right? So SEO is a strategy you may want to opt for. We do that built into our product line. So, what is the goal of SEO? It's obviously to rank the top of the Google search results. Keep in mind, SEO is complex. It changes all the time. So we follow all kinds of different trends. Like right now, I know Google had started ranking blog articles that were using this AMP technology, which is basically a mobile-first technology. That kind of came and goes. We kind of monitor that. We've seen recently YouTube is showing up on the search results higher and higher. Google My Business has been a hugely important item in ranking well, especially consider the amount of traffic that goes through there. But what I'm getting at is, just like tax law, it changes all the time. It's really complex. So trying to do this on your own is, if you have a complex tax return, I think you get the same results. So, SEO is complex. Trends are always changing. We are on it and watching the data every single day. We see what's working, what's not working. We adjust to changes. And that's why an agency or a firm like CountyWorks Pro is so important. So it's definitely something you're interested in. You can talk to us about our add-on products for SEO optimization. The next one, I think, is one of the easiest things you can do. So whether or not you work with us, social proof, reviews, and testimonials are the easiest thing that you can do to grow your practice quickly. So what do we mean by that? Getting 5-star reviews on Google My Business, marketplace sites like TaxBuzz and CountyWorks, Yelp, you name it, whatever marketplace is ranking well in your area, you want to attract positive reviews that can sway someone to choose your business over another, okay? And we talk about psychology here, and there's marketing theory, but basically this is what we call social proof. So what are other people saying about you that would help convert a complete stranger to decide, hey, I think these guys are credible, I want to work with them. 85% of consumers said they read online reviews before making a purchase decision. The source was Bright Local on that one. So it's very important that you understand the importance of social proof. So in the digital age, consumers are more informed than ever before because they're doing their research. So before they've even contacted your brand, they've probably done their research and decided, hey, this person doesn't fit what I can do. They can't solve me. Whatever you've done on your digital side, you didn't persuade them to give you a call. So that's where we come in. We develop content for you that will get converted, but we help build up these reputations. So reviews and testimonials can be your best form of advertising. They can also be the quickest boost in your SEO ranking. So when you're competing against others, the frequency and the quality of reviews can make you drive up the search results much faster than anything else you do. We've said this before, your clients can sell you much better than any ad. And the absence of reviews is a red flag to consumers. Now, why do they not have any reviews? Or if they only have a couple 1-star reviews of people who were unhappy with your service. So if you're having any issues getting 5-star, building a 5-star practice, that is something we've been doing for years. We control the TaxBuzz and CountyWorks.com marketplaces, and we have done for you review campaigns. So we actually can attract reviews for you. We actually then post your reviews on your social media channels to even get more reviews and more conversions for your brand. So it's definitely something that we have expertise in. So what's next? Consider everything you will need. So to showcase your expertise, you will need high quality content creation, right? Talk about life events. So create that blog content. FAQs. FAQs is marked up in schema. FAQs is something that Google likes to show in search results. Make sure you have some FAQs within your content. Make sure you have a presence on social media. Make sure you're actively posting to social media. And then video. We have an entire video library that actually brands vlog content that we do directly for you. And you can use that when you're building your practice and digital footprint. Streamline the onboard process. Make it easy for them to do a client interview, especially in today in the COVID world. I think a lot of people are starting to realize they really like the ability not to have to drive, to sit in a waiting room. They like the convenience. You can still have a very personal relationship with your clients, utilize technology like our teleaccountant product that integrates the calendar setting and the appointment setting, getting them into a meeting easily without downloading apps, things like that. Make sure you have an expert designed website. One of the things we see is a lot of sites that are not built for speed. They're not optimized for the new way that consumers convert. So, definitely work with someone who understands how to build a site and how to convert visitors. We're big pro on niches. We have a large niche suite of products that is coming out here very soon, and is something definitely to think about as you consider your website strategies. Do think about search engine optimization. It is key for you to stand out. And then, of course, social proof and reviews. So utilize the power of automation. A lot of what we've talked about sounds overwhelming, just like with you and your practice. Work with experts that know what they're talking about. Here at CountyWorks Pro, we've been doing this for years. We take a lot of pride in our technology. We invest in our developing our technology and staying in front of the trends. And that's why we continue to just roll out new features after new features. And clients that have been working with us for a long period of time appreciate that. And they realize, hey, we may not get it right every single time when we roll out a new feature, but we iterate, we listen, we iterate, we listen, and we really fine tune our solution to work for you. So find tools to simplify what we have covered. So really, it comes down to saving you time, making you look good, making you more money, right? And you can do that by leveraging our technology to optimize and automate the digital presence. We realize you make money serving clients, not trying to manage a CRM and a marketing blog and newsletters and social media posts. So we get it. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, we can help. CountyWorks Pro has packages starting as low as $69.95 a month that can fit any size firm. And whether you're an established, a newbie, or a high growth looking firm, we have a solution for you. So I want to thank you for joining me today. You can visit our website at countyworkspro.com or call us at 1-800-442-2477, extension 3 if you want a conversation, a demo, and some strategy sessions with one of our experts, or extension 4 for technical support, and if you have any additional questions. But again, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.